The door creaked as I stepped over the threshold of my childhood home, a place haunted by memories of scorn, laughter, and disbelief. It had been years since I last set foot here, years filled with dark discoveries that had reshaped my psyche and carved a path through shadows that few have dared to tread. The air felt thick, saturated with the musty scent of nostalgia and the eerie silence that hung like a noose above my head. "What are you doing here?" My sister's voice cut through the stillness, dripping with a mixture of surprise and disdain. She hadn't changed much, still the same sharp features, still the same cold eyes that once mocked my obsession. Behind her, I could see the flicker of recognition in my mother's eyes, the same eyes that had once shamed me for my pursuits. "I came to talk," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. "I wanted to show you something." They exchanged glances, as if weighing the gravity of my presence against the weight of their ridicule. My father's laughter echoed in my mind, a cruel mocking that had accompanied many of our family dinners. "You'll lose your mind over ghosts and legends, you know. You'll disgrace us." But I hadn't lost my mind. I had found it, shattered perhaps, but whole in its newfound clarity. I pulled a weathered folder from my bag, its contents lined with newspaper clippings. Official reports of missing persons and photographs, grisly, haunting images of dark rituals and forgotten rites, the culmination of years spent traversing the most cursed corners of our world, dedicated to the study of cannibal cults that had once merely existed in the whispers of urban legends. My family shifted uneasily, the atmosphere growing heavier. I laid the folder on the dining table, a makeshift altar for truths they had long dismissed. "This is what I found," I said, my heart racing. "What is this?" my sister asked, her voice laced with skepticism and a hint of fear. "Evidence," I breathed. "Evidence of the cannibal cults that lurk beneath our very city. They're real." Their laughter echoed in my mind again, a cacophony of cruelty that had once drowned out my pleas for understanding. "You're still obsessed with those ridiculous stories," my father had said. "You'll never find anything real." But I had. I began to recount my findings, detailing how ancient societies had thrived on fear, their beliefs steeped in darker rituals that invoked the wrath of ancient deities. I spoke of the disappearances, of the faces that haunted me in dreams, those who had been claimed by the unspeakable. My family listened, their expressions shifting from disbelief to discomfort. "What do you expect us to believe?" my mother asked, her voice trembling slightly as a chill wind swept through the open window. "Believe what you want," I replied, a surge of frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "But I've been to the places where these rituals took place. I've seen the symbols carved into the earth. I've witnessed the shadows of the past clawing their way into the present." The room fell silent. Then the lights flickered. A shiver coursed through my spine as I sensed a presence, a heaviness that settled like an ancient weight. I glanced outside, and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the windows. "An old woman was one of the last to stand against them," I continued, my voice low and steady. "She spoke of a time when the town was lost to hunger, to the whispers of those who had once feasted on flesh, and now they've returned." Suddenly, a shriek pierced the night, echoing from the depths of the woods behind our house, a sound so raw and primal that it shook the very foundations of my sanity. "What was that?" my sister gasped, her bravado shattered. "That," I said, pointing toward the darkness, "is what I've been trying to warn you about. This isn't a game. They're coming back for what was taken." I could see the dawning horror in their eyes as the truth began to unfurl before them, a tapestry woven from threads of disbelief and terror. They were no longer dismissing me as the delusional sibling. They were standing on the precipice of understanding. As the shrieks intensified, I caught a glimpse of something shifting in the shadows outside, dark figures, hunched and grotesque, moving with a stealth that felt ancient, ritualistic. My heart raced, a visceral response to the primal instinct that screamed at me, "Run." But I was rooted to the spot, a spectator and participant in the horror unfolding before us. "Please, let's leave," my mother pleaded, her voice cracking. "No," I shouted, desperation clawing at my throat. "You have to see this. You have to understand what you've mocked." And then they emerged from the darkness, figures draped in tattered rags, their faces obscured but their intentions clear. The air grew thick with the stench of decay, and all at once I realized the truth that had eluded me for so long. My family had been right to fear me. I was not merely an archivist of horrors. I had become a beacon, a vessel for the darkness I had unearthed. The figures moved closer, their chilling whispers weaving through the air like a song of the damned. "Look!" I cried, my voice rising. "This is what's coming for you, for all of us, and you can't turn your backs now." But they were already retreating, backing away from the table, from the truth laid before them. In their eyes, I saw the flicker of regret, the dawning realization that they had dismissed the very shadows that now surrounded us. As the echoes of their laughter faded, the figures moved in, closing the distance, and with it the finality of their fates. I stood in the center, no longer a disgrace, but a witness to the reckoning that had come to claim those who once belittled my pursuit of the macabre. And as I watched them face the very horror they mocked, I felt a chilling sense of vindication. I had survived what they could not fathom, but it had come at a cost that now enveloped my family in a shroud of terror. I stood alone in the darkness, surrounded by shadows, the weight of my knowledge both a crown and a curse. The world outside would tremble at the truths I had unearthed, but for my family, this was the final reckoning, an unforgiving reminder that the past, no matter how deeply buried, always finds a way to resurface.